On today's episode, things will be a little different. Today's special guest has been faced with several allegations that should and need to be addressed. Here at 94 Feet of UNC, I do not condone or accept the actions that have happened, but I do agree on giving someone a fair trial regardless of their actions. 94 Feet of UNC is a platform for all players to come, speak, and have a chance and a voice to do so. No slander, no bashing, or disrespect is tolerated here on this platform. I love all of my fans and extremely appreciate all the love and support I have received up to this point. But I ask all of my fans that you please listen to this episode in its entirety before you lend an opinion. Everyone deserves a fair and second chance. All and appreciate you all. Now let's get into the episode. What's up, everybody? It is Thursday, November 28th. You are tuned in to the 94 Feet of UNC podcast. I am your host, Linzel Graham, of course. I got a big special guest in the building with me today. We're doing things a little bit different, of course. Before we get into things, I appreciate all the love and support from everybody. Make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe, share, comment on my YouTube channel at 94 Feet of UNC. Hit that notification bell too, so that you don't miss out on any of the content, of course, that I provide for you guys. Make sure you follow me on all my socials, on Twitter, on Instagram at 94 Feet of UNC. I interact with all my fans and things like that. So hit me up if you got any questions that you want me to get out there, as fans, as players, things like that, or whatever, just to keep content and things like that flowing in for everybody. My special guest in the building with me today, he has came by the Zell Dome to chop it up with me, to him introducing himself and everything. I want to make sure that I put this out there, as you all know. And if you listen to the disclaimer, of course, in the beginning of this podcast, just so that everyone knows that we here, or me, myself, here at 94 Feet of UNC, I believe in everybody to have at having their voices be heard. I also believe in second chances for everyone. So before you all lend an opinion, please make sure that you listen to this podcast in its entirety. We don't do the slander and things like that over here, or tolerate any disrespect. So please just keep your comments, things like that, whatever, to a minimum. I know some people have some harsh feelings, whatever the case may be. Let's just all be respectable for sure. Okay. So I have to make sure that I put that out there for everybody. My guest today is Mr. PJ Hairston. PJ, how are you, my guy?
I'm living, man. I'm living, maintaining, trying to keep it going.
I can totally understand. So PJ, like I was telling you before we even got going and everything, that today's show is a little bit different. Of course, everyone knows that are my main followers and that have been following me since day one. They know that normally I have an intro video that I normally put out there, and just a lot of different things that I kind of mesh within the podcast itself. But today is a very special episode, due to some things that have transpired within in the past, in regards and that have included you. So I know when you reached out to me, the same thing that I tell everybody else, I give everybody a fair shot. I always, and even on the right side of things, it doesn't matter if you're the star player or the last player as a walk-on on the bench. Everybody has a right for their voices to be heard, and that's what 94 Feet of UNC, this platform, is definitely for. So to get right into things, I'll let you pretty much kind of start wherever you want to. I think everyone probably wants to probably wants to hear the latest and most recent, I guess, incident, if you want to call it that. But there are some other incidents, I guess, that have happened as well in the past with when you was at UNC that I'm sure that fans would also like to know as well. But let's start with the most recent uh, uh, episodes or things that may have transpired within yourself and everything. So the floor is yours, and I let you get going and let you get started on that.
I mean, well, I don't really need an introduction. Um, Man, I'm basically here today just to kind of just you know be a man. It's not really anything around it. I've made some mistakes in my life, and I regret every single one to the fullest because no one wants to make a mistake. That's the number one thing. You don't want to make a mistake. That's not your goal. Just go out, just make mistakes, and and through certain stages of life, you never know what mistake you're gonna make or how you're even gonna handle making a mistake. So and with me going to UNC, and I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina. I went to Dudley High School. Um, I was around a lot of people all the time, and basketball was more so my outlet. I always had fans. I had fans starting at ninth grade, and it led to me ended up signing to go to UNC, get to UNC, and I'm not the star player yet, but I'm playing behind a starting lineup full of first round picks. So I'm playing behind Harrison Barnes. My point guard is Kendall Marshall. Reggie Bullock's a shooting guard. Dexter Strickland, John Henson, and Tyler Zeller. And when you go to a big school like that, you start to get love from fans. You start to get people wanting to chat with you, talk to you. And to me, I never thought about like taking advantage of that. And me being who I am, I'd give my shirt off my back to a homeless person. Like that's always been me. And I got older in life. I played in the NBA. Couldn't really stay healthy, so you know, most injuries lead to where you feel like you're not yourself anymore, and that's kind of to the stage where I got it. So I played 3 years in the NBA and couldn't stay healthy. Came home, and finances started to become an issue, and I had other legal issues going on where I couldn't. So I found ways around it. I tried to, use my likeness with fans to, just thinking of ways to make money. And my dad had some of my old game, and I found it one day, and the biggest idea came to my head. And I'm like, I could really make some money off of this. And, and at first it was going well. Like I was really, giving people the stuff they wanted. And, and as all of this was going on, things in my personal life were getting darker and darker and darker. So it wasn't like the money was really helping, but it was helping me get by. And, I had my son with me all the time. So I had to figure out a way to keep him fed, clothes on him, and, and so things got real tough for me. Uh, and I almost got to the point where I was almost homeless. So I was going through a real bad spot in life, and money's the root of all evil, and I needed it, and I took advantage of fans. I took advantage of people that trusted me for 3 years when I was at Carolina, and I shoot, I feel bad. Like I sit up nights sometimes, just can't sleep because I just think about it, and it haunts me. It tears me apart because like a part of me is just like, why? Like, why would I put myself in that situation? And Then another part of me is like, well, you had to do what you had to do to provide for your family. And that's literally all I was doing it for. I wasn't doing it for my personal needs. I wasn't doing it for bad publicity. I was really just doing it, honestly, trying to help me, myself, and my family. And, and it finally caught up with me, and it scared me because, obviously I know I could get in trouble for it. Like, I know that. But my whole thing is, like, if I could pay every single cent back, I would. And I still plan on doing that. Like, I've never said I wouldn't do that, but it's just, I know how people look at me now. I've seen it everywhere. Like, but I played in front of 25,000 people. Words don't really make me move, and it doesn't really bother me. Like, I've never been embarrassed, so I wasn't embarrassed to tell what I did. I'm more so just disappointed in myself because I know I'm better than what I was doing. And since then, life has gotten easier for me. Life is getting a little bit better. I'm finally able to get jobs to put all my legal troubles behind me, and I can finally just get up and go get a job and make some good money, and that's what I'm doing. The day that I made that turn, that's the day I decided I need to get this off my shoulders. Like, I need to tell somebody. Like, I need to just let it be known. Like, I'm at fault for everything. Nobody was working with me. It was all me. And it was because of greed and because, and it's gonna sound bad, how important my son was to me at the time. Like, he's still very important to me, but at that time, like, he was literally the only thing that would keep me, like, sane and keep me in a positive spirit, was because I knew what I had to do to keep him around me and keep him happy. I mean, obviously he didn't know how it was getting done, but it was getting done, and I had the happiest child in the world. So it was just one of those things where if he's happy, I'm good. And, like I said, and I deeply, deeply apologize for hurting anybody, putting anybody in bad spots, because I mean, I've been there. I know what it's like. And I just want to just clear the air on that and just basically apologize for any wrongdoing that I've done to anyone's family, and just kind of take that loss on the chin, because that's how I've been doing it my whole life. I take my losses on the chin, I admit my wrongs, and I got to keep moving.
Right. So PJ, I'm one of them that, I guess the first question that I definitely want to ask is, during this whole time, even before all of this started happening, there's always a root to that, right? To where it grows and where it stems from.
Right.
What was I mean, without, if you can, delving into anything that probably can't be said in regards to, some legal things, whatever the case may be, and without getting too deep into it, what was the root for, because a lot of people is going to want to know why, right? So, like, but that would be the root, and that would be where you would have to kind of backtrack a little bit and come off from and start where it first began,
Oh yeah,
as
like,
to why it led up to what it led up to. Without, like I said, without
oh yeah,
getting into too much, if that's the case, because we don't want any of that, to any legal issues or anything like that, to be spoken on if they can't be spoken on. But what was the root of it and where it started from, and that led up to that point, to where you started selling the memorabilia?
You know, like I said from the beginning, it was legit. Like I really had the stuff, and what happened was it was an argument between me and my dad because some of the stuff was missing because I didn't tell him I found it, and that was the other thing. So once he found it, he went through all my stuff and basically put everything up. But the first couple days, man, I sent out about 3 or 4, like legit. I sent out about 3 or 4 jerseys, like 3 basketballs, and I ended up making almost 2,000 in a day. So when I saw that, I'm just like, whoa, because I hadn't seen money like that come in that fast since I played in the NBA.
Right.
And I'm not gonna say that's how much I got every time, but no, it was just the hunger, the greed. That's when the greed kicked in. Because once the stuff was gone, I could have just stopped. But that's when that greed kicked in. That's when, it was just something that should have never it should have stopped before it even started.
Right.
And
but there's a root to that. Like, right? Like, because when you say, and of course, once again, I'm not here to say, judge you or anything. That's not who I am. That's not what I do. I don't judge a person or anything like that. Now, if their actions and things like that are a repetitive thing, then that's a different story. But like you said, everybody makes mistakes. Nobody is perfect. But there's a root to that, because a lot of people will sit up and say, like, if they when they listen to this interview and they say, okay, PJ said that, he made $2,000 in one day. But right before that, PJ also said that, he hadn't seen money like that, you know, when he was because he was in the NBA. So of course everybody knows that the NBA is going to pay, first round draft pick, things like that. So like the root that started
I get what you're saying.
before the memorabilia situation that led what made it lead up to the memorabilia situation. Like a lot of people want to know about the history from the NBA and what happened with that.
Well, if we're doing that, then I had a financial advisor, and he was a quote unquote family friend. I'm not gonna put his name out there. I mean, if you can find it, you can find it, but I'm not gonna put his name out there because
Right.
he did just get released from prison, I think this year,
Mm-hmm.
for the crimes, because he wasn't just stealing from me; he was stealing from like 6 or 7 other athletes. Almost 25 to $30 million he stole. But I had almost $1 million taken from me. And, and when I was playing, I always questioned, I always asked, like, sometimes my checks would look funny. I'm like, I would make one thing this week, then it would be a little bit lower this week, then it'd be a little bit lower the next week. But, me coming from nothing, I didn't really care as long as it was commas in my bank account.
Right. Right.
So, like, I never really looked at it. And then one day, I swear I was sitting with my mom. This bank calls about a loan that I took out of like $850,000, and my signature is forged on it. And they're basically telling me I owe them $850,000. I'm like, I don't have that.
Right.
Like, I don't have that. And then when I kind of explained to them like what happened, and I sent them all my paperwork that had my actual signature on it, that's how he ended up getting caught up in his little scandal and ended up doing he probably did, I think he did 10 years in prison.
Mm-hmm.
But that right there, that money right there that he took, that was the same money that I was using to try to build a house where I'm from.
Right.
The house was stripped from me. I probably had about $2,500 to my name. Mind you, I'm not even a year removed from the NBA, and I got $2,500 to my name.
Right.
So I'm depressed. Like I'm going through it. Like I was depressed for almost a year. Like I didn't even want to see a basketball because I blame basketball because of that happening. Like if I didn't play basketball, this would have never happened. Like that's how I looked at it for a while.
Right.
So basketball wasn't my top priority anymore. I needed money and I had to find ways to do it. And at the time, before I was building the house, I lived with my mom out in the country, out in the fields in North Carolina, outside of Greensboro. And, I was there with her for a while, but she was too far away from the city. So I ended up moving with my dad. And, long story short, that's when I found all the stuff. And that's how everything just accumulated, how everything started.
Yeah. So when all of that happened, because my thing is, if that wouldn't have happened, as far as the money being taken from you, then it wouldn't have led to the memorabilia situation. It wouldn't have transpired to that at all. You would
Never.
probably still have memorabilia and everything.
I'd have that memorabilia hanging up on a wall in my gym that I built. Like I had plans. Like I think that's what really shot me the most about it, because I was really depressed because I had plans. Like
Right.
I was building a house. I was gonna build a gym. Like I was gonna have a place where, like I had all of this plan written down in a notebook. I burned the notebook.
Right.
I had plans of building a gym, in the middle of the city in Greensboro, just, and it's open 24 hours.
Right.
Like I was going to do something like that just so kids can have an outlet. Like if you can't sleep at night, you can go to the gym. Like I wanted something like that around my city for the kids. And, I never got to do it. And it made me look bad as a professional athlete that came out of my city, because I've never given back to my city like the way I wanted to.
Right.
And with that money, that's what I was planning on doing. And, and it just sent me into a mode where I just didn't care no more. I was mad. I was depressed. I was mad at everybody in the world. Like I just completely detached from anybody that I thought was close to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was a rage or what, but I haven't been the same since. I'm just starting to really find myself again and actually enjoy life after basketball. And this is a whole 7-8 years removed from playing professionally.
Yeah.
Like people don't ever understand the mental health side of it. And that's what frustrates me the most, because I have bad mental health problems. Like I went through it bad and nobody knew. Nobody ever asked, because I was always the person that lit the room up. I was always the one that had to make sure everybody was happy. So,
Right.
I never got the chance to sit down and talk to somebody and tell them how I really felt, because
Right.
I always covered it up with a smile.
Right. So let me ask you this: how long was your tenure in the NBA?
It was 3 years. I played a full season with the Hornets. I played maybe half the season, the second season with the Hornets. I started all those games. I ended up getting traded. I think it was like the second week of February. I ended up getting traded to the Grizzlies. When I played with Mike Conley, Tony Allen, Zebo, Marc Gasol. I played with some great guys, man. Matt Barnes was there. Yeah, we had. As a matter of fact, it was that team that we had 6 people, and we went to Cleveland and beat LeBron and Kyrie. Like I was on that team, and that was the game that it was literally 7 of us, and we went up to Cleveland and beat LeBron and them. So, that was my highlight of playing with the Grizzlies, and my highlight of playing with the Hornets was just being a kid from Greensboro playing in his home state,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of regret that too because I never left North Carolina. I was always in North Carolina, other than for my senior year of high school.
Right.
Like
So your time during in the NBA, is this the time where you only had that was your only financial advisor?
yeah, because everything was smooth my first year, my rookie year, and because we actually sat down and talked about what I would be making, da da da. But my second year, my pay went up, and I didn't know it.
Right.
And that's when he took advantage of it.
Okay. Because the reason why I'm asking is because I mean a lot of people will probably look at me like, Zell, we want to know this, we want to know that. Like if we were sitting in a room full of people, some people may want to ask a certain type of question. So I'm trying to make sure that I can ask the questions accordingly, I guess you could say. But like I said, not trying to it's not a judgmental type thing or anything like that. It's just these are probably questions that people are going to want like certain answers to, I guess you could say, because a lot of people would probably want to know, okay, well, if you was in the NBA for 3 years and you had the same financial advisor, like when did that whole situation start happening that the advisor was doing what he was doing? Why a lot of people may ask, like, did it, if you started putting money aside in other places or whatever besides whatever the financial advisor was overseeing, I guess you could say, like a lot of people would want to probably ask these type of questions. So that would be another question that somebody would ask. But according to my knowledge, the money that the advisor took was money that you was starting to put aside
Exactly.
for everything. So I guess a lot of people's tenures don't really last. Well, they last a lot longer when it comes to the NBA. So after 3 years, was like, I guess my question would be, was there an option to continue in the league and maybe go to different team after the whole advisor situation, or was that just a decision that you just took upon yourself to just say, you know what, I'm leaving the league? Because I mean, let's be honest, a lot of players they're ready to get to the league. So when you're hearing about a player being there for only 3 years in the league, then that's it a lot of I would want to know, well, what caused that player to just say, you know what, I'm done after 3 years.
Okay, well, I didn't really find out all of the stuff was happening until I got traded to Memphis, which was halfway through my second year. I didn't play I didn't play my full third year either because I was hurt. I was in the G League.
Okay.
But when I really paid attention to it was when I was hurt, when I was in the G League, when I knew I was about to go home. And that's remembering I said, me and my mom were sitting in a room and the bank called us. I had initially called the bank and said something isn't right because I had two different banks. I had a bank, I had my primary bank, and I had a bank where I put like my money, like in like New York. So I called him. I said something isn't right. Like I'm missing a lot of money. And and then the lady said, and this was, I want to say this was like a Thursday. The lady said she called me back like a Monday because she was off that Friday or something. And I ended up going home that weekend. But the whole thing with the league, I was with Memphis, and before the season ended, I had already had talks with, the coach that was the coach at the time, and they were wanting to extend me. They were wanting to, sign like a 2-year deal, maybe like 15 million, just to keep me in Memphis. And I was gonna sign it. Last game, we get swept by the Spurs in the playoffs, first round. We get back to exit interviews. Everyone gets fired. Coaches get fired. Everyone gets fired. I don't get extended. I get sent home. So that's something else that really like kind of messed me up too, because I'm thinking the whole time, yeah, I'm about to be in Memphis. I'm about to get a house in Memphis. Like, this is where I'm about to play. The whole time, they're working on who the next coach is. And I had no idea. Of course, we don't have any idea of all of that. So, going home, I'm thinking about that. Then I get home and find out everything that happened with my money. And, it was just a lot. It was just a lot on me at that time. I'm gonna tell you exactly how bad it was. It was so bad. I had a workout with the Pelicans. They bought me a flight and everything. They were going to offer me a 1-year, like $5 million deal. I didn't even go to the workout because I was so depressed. I wasn't even myself. Like, I just didn't go to the airport. Like, I didn't even. I don't know what I was really thinking. I knew I wasn't me, and I didn't want to go down there and they waste all their time and waste their time because I'm not focused. Granted, yeah, if I would have signed that contract, yeah, that money would have been back there, no question. But it's the principle. This is supposed to be a family friend. This is supposed to be somebody I could trust. This is somebody my parents trusted. Like, everybody got let down. I mean, obviously more so me, but you ruined friendships, everything. And, and I'm telling you, when that happened, it got to the point I was just like, I don't want any friends. I don't need nobody around me. So when I was home, I just stopped going around people. Like, to this day, like, I haven't been to a club in almost 6 years. I don't go out no more. I don't go out the house. Like, I go play ball every now and then, but it's just work.
Yeah.
I don't want to do nothing else because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I still love basketball to death. It's just not my passion anymore. Like, I don't love it like I used to. Like, don't get me wrong, I watch the boys play any day. Like, every time they come on, I sat up to 2:30 in the morning the other night watching them play Hawaii. So I'll watch them whenever they come on. Like, I'm still the biggest Carolina fan ever.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we've had this conversation. Like, at the end of the day, when nobody was there for me, when everything happened at Carolina, the only person that was there for me was Roy Williams. And I could never thank him enough for anything. Like, he could never do wrong in my eyes.
Right.
because at a time where you think everybody just stops believing in you, the one person you thought would give up on you is the main person that's rooting for you.
Right.
So
I'm glad you got to that point, because of course me and you we had this discussion off air when we first talked. And of course, I mean, some things I'm not going to disclose because it's not my place to disclose it, but it would be more so your choice to do so. But I'm glad that you went to the Roy Williams topic. And let's take it away from Roy for a second, because I'm sure when you speak of, I think I need you to clarify just a little bit more with the Roy situation, because my question that I want to ask is, away from Roy. Now, Roy was more so there during the NCAA situation, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah.
Right. So we're gonna move Roy to the side just for a second. during your time when you was going through what it is that you was going through, not the NCAA situation, but
Okay.
staying on this topic here. When you mentioned, because I talked to a lot of UNC alumni players, I've had a bunch of them on the show. I've had Dino, Ray Terry, Newbie, Q, Mike Copeland, Pete Chilcutt, a lot of guys.
Mm-hmm.
When you mention and when I talk to them, one of the big things that we always discuss and that I always bring up and that I always ask all of the alumni players is UNC is, in my eyes, and I'm just looking at it from a fan perspective from back in the day, UNC is always uh dwelled. I don't want to use the word dwelled, but UNC has always been big on the word family.
Mm-hmm.
We always crack jokes about, there's a difference between a family and a brotherhood, if you get my drift, as far as the brotherhood that's a few miles down the road or whatever and what they got going on. But family is more of a broad broad thing, I guess you could say. It's bigger than a brotherhood, right? So when we mention the word family, when you was going through your time, and it's entirely up to you if you want to disclose names. You don't have to. No, I'm not. That's you. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. But were there a lot of players that you may have reached out to that were there during your time to possibly contribute to trying to help you go through and get through what it was that you was going through, as far as on the mental side, financial thing, in a financial aspect. And once again, like I said, you don't have to disclose any names if you don't want to, but that's entirely up to you as far as if any players, because that's a big thing when we speak of the word family. Family helps each other out. So were there any players that you may have played with or whatever the case may be that reached out and contributed to trying to help you get back on your feet, or on the mental side of things, or whatever the case may be?
Well, I'm gonna just tell you like this: it was nobody I played with.
Okay.
It was nobody I played with. It was two former players. One does have a national championship, and and if the other one, we grew up from the same area, and we went to the same high school. So there was two people, but other than that, no, not really. Like I don't really want to speak too much on it because
Right.
I'm not gonna say it makes me sad, but it kind of hurt then because I just thought like you said, UNC was a family, and I didn't feel comfortable then going up to another grown man asking, "Hey, can you loan me this? Can you loan me that?" And I also wasn't in a space where I could go up to a grown man, "Hey, look, I'm going through this. I really need some help." Like I didn't know how to do it. I just didn't know how to ask, and I don't. I don't know because the people, like the certain people I did ask, were the certain people that I thought would be like the first person that would like help,
Right.
and the two people that help, I'd never expected them to. So, but I mean, it is what it is. Like it's almost 10 years ago, and
Right.
looking back on it, obviously, I wish things happened differently. I wish, honestly, I wish I would have chose a different financial advisor. I wish I could have signed that extension. I wish I would have went to that workout in New Orleans, but I didn't. So,
Right.
I mean, you have to keep living your life. You have to keep trying to figure it out. And I mean, and nobody ever figures it out in a day. It's not often.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm 31 now. I'll be 32 in a few weeks, and I'm just now really figuring it out. Post
Right.
basketball, I'm just now figuring it out. Like even being with the woman that I'm with, like she knows I play basketball. She knows like I went to Carolina, but I don't get her to understand. Like I don't need for her to understand the mental side of it because she's not going to,
Right.
and I don't expect her to. So I would never
Right.
put that weight on her shoulders. Like, and I've talked to her. I've told her about everything. I tell her everything. So like she knows everything that I've been through, and she's the person that's been there the most. So
Right.
and I mean, I'm thankful, I'm grateful for it, but it comes a time where things have to change, and you know, finally now I can look at life and just be like, things are looking good right now, and I'm happy to be able to say that.
Yeah. So PJ, let me ask you this, because we as men can be very we can get prideful. That's a man's nature, right? Like you said, you know, because I'm the same way. I don't really like asking people for anything. I don't. But what I have grew to learn, and I'm 43. I don't mind speaking my age. It is what it is. Like I think people know from some of the things that I may post on Instagram and things like that, like remembering the Game Boys and Nintendos and things. So I think I've shown my age here, right? But I'm 43. We as men can get very prideful. That's just our nature. There's two groups of people, and this might be the $1 million question, right? There's two groups of people out there. You have one group of people that will sit up and say, you know what? The man did what he had to do to provide for his family. And not saying that I condone anything that has happened, right?
Correct. Right.
But however, at the same time, the man made mistakes. He came on as a man to apologize. He's held himself accountable. Uh, and I understand that he did what he did because he had to do what he had to do to provide for his family, right? His apology, I get it. I accept his apology, right? But then you have another group of people that would say, and you probably know where I'm going with this. You have another group of people that would say, you know what? Nah, I don't accept his apology, or I do accept his apology, but it's still F him, whatever. It's unacceptable. I need more from him, whatever the case may be. My question would be, and I'm sure a lot of other people's questions would be, what are you doing? And you don't have to get into full details if that's the case, but what are you doing to fix the situation?
Well,
Like, yeah,
this I'm doing this. Like I told you,
right,
I've reached out to Theo. Like I've reached out to T Hands. I'm trying to be on their podcast too. And
right,
it's no not to you, but they're gonna get a million views. I want
right,
people like I want. That's how serious I am about it. Because I mean, I'm not gonna say it on camera, but I was messed up. Like
right,
I was I was messed up, and a messed up person does messed up things, and at that time of my life, that's just what I was. I mean,
Right.
I'm not gonna sit and downplay like, oh no, I don't need any sympathy. It's not that. Like, I don't need any sympathy. I did what I did. It was wrong. I regret it, and I'll never in my life do anything like that again because I don't have to. I'm not in the position where I need to put myself in those shoes again.
Right.
So, you know, so yeah, I did mess up. I probably messed up some relationship with fans, and I don't expect everyone to be 100% all for PJ anymore. I don't. I've never expected that. No one was 100% all PJ when I was there. So I don't want like it to be like fake love. But if you really accept my apology, accept it because I took the steps to try to make it better. Don't accept it and then down talk me. That'll make me like real uncomfortable about doing it.
Right. And
So
that's understandable because I have a motto as well. And my motto has always been like, listen, when I'm down, I don't keep kicking me while I'm down because if you keep kicking me while I'm down, eventually I'm gonna take a leg. Like, that's one of my mottos that I firmly believe in. I do believe in it, which is the reason why I said, you know what? Because I've seen a lot of the comments and posts and so many different things when it came to your name being mentioned in things. I've seen it. And once again, this is a platform for all alumni players, regardless of whether they've done super well or even if they've made mistakes. But it's a platform for them for their voices to be heard. But once again, I guess my question still is what is PJ doing to help the victims of his situation? Like, what is, because that's really what a lot of people is going to say apology is not good enough. So what does PJ have in mind, or what is PJ doing to help the victims, regardless of whether, even if he helps them and they still feel the same way they feel or whatever, then hey, it is what it is. But at the same time, the effort of trying to make it right between PJ and whomever the victims may be. Like, what is PJ doing to fix that?
oh, this was the first step. I haven't took steps towards everything. This was the first step to put my name out there that I'm doing it. So
Right.
I haven't done anything monetary. No, this was the first step to go on a podcast, tell my truth, own up to my mistakes, and I let them do the rest. Because I can't really tell somebody that, hey, accept my apology. I can't do that. I mean, but what I can promise that I'll never do it again. Because I know what it's like for people to take from my family. So, and when all of that happened with money being taken from me, like I said, it just sent me into I don't know if it was a rage, I don't know what it was, but I stopped caring. Like, I just stopped caring, because if you can't care about myself, why should I care? And that was my attitude for a while. And I'm a smart kid. I didn't make bad grades in school. I'm a smart kid. I made some young stupid mistakes, and like this is the first step to trying to make it better, because better in myself will make any situation better. So if I can keep bettering myself and taking steps that, still trying to fix everything that happened, whether it's monetary, whether it's really sending some memorabilia, like I don't know what it has to be, but like I want to get to the point where I can just do it. I'm more than open to doing something like that. But I have to be in the right position to do it.
Right. So I guess let me ask you this: do you have a list of everybody that
No,
may have? I guess the reason why I'm asking that is because if the victims do need to get, in touch with you or something like that, or if you're trying to get in touch with the victims, however you plan on going about it to, in the future to mend relationships and fix things. Is there a way that you want people to reach out to you about it?
no.
And
If I want people to reach out to me, I'll give people away too. I'm not gonna put it on my personal stuff. But when that day comes, yeah,
right,
I'll put it out there for a way to reach me. Like even if I have to go get like a little burner phone for a day, like I'll give people a way to reach me.
right,
Like I don't mind that. So
okay,
yeah,
okay,
when that day comes, it'll come. I'm not saying it's gonna be tomorrow. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be next week, but it's
it'll
gonna
come,
come.
right,
And if you're
right.
not paying attention, you won't see it.
That's true. That is
So
true. 1,000%. 1,000%. So, all right. So, off that topic, because everybody, of course, a lot of the fans don't know. During your tenure at UNC, some things once again transpired. I'm assuming off the court to where it uh, put you in a bad situation, to where you was removed from the team. Um, the floor is open to you for you to speak on that, because I'm sure that a lot of the fans want to know, what transpired and things like that.
I mean, it all started at the traffic stop. Um,
Well, see, I don't know about the traffic stop, PJ. So
yeah,
that's the reason why I'm
all of this happened. We were in summer school. It was literally the day before summer school started. Um, Literally the summer school before my junior year started. This is when it happened. I was with my friends at the time. One of my boys had a rental, and he had like a Tahoe, and you know they had been drinking. I didn't drink a lot in college, so I was the drive. I was the DD. We get in the car, we start driving, and we're going to Durham to one of my boys' house, and we're going over there, play video games, chill, and we get to a checkpoint in Durham, and the cop pulls me, and he comes to the window, and the first thing he immediately says is, "I smell weed," and I don't really think nothing of it because in my head nothing's in the car. I'm just going to my friend's house.
right.
I don't know. So he tells us to pull over, tells us to get out the car. He looks at me. He said, "Oh, I know who you are." Then he says, "Go Duke." And right after that, he searches the car, pulls out a bag, had weed in it. And I mean, obviously, the first thing I said is, "That's not mine."
Right.
Like, that's not mine. So
Right.
with me being the driver and everybody else saying it's not theirs as well, they had to put it on me.
Right.
And and then it was a cop walking maybe from like a mile back, not even a mile back, and he says he found a gun, and they tried to put the gun on me too.
Mm.
But I'm like, if the gun was mine, why would it be on the passenger side and I'm driving?
Right.
Mind you, we're at a checkpoint. So if I do throw something out of the car, you can see it. Like we're in a line of cars. If I reach out my window and throw something over the car to the woods, you'll be able to see it. So my whole thing was, I mean, I knew I was in trouble. At that point, I just knew I was in trouble. And, you know, and this is, I mean, this is why I say you got to have people with you that really, really care about you.
Right.
Like, that really, really care about you. Because one of my boys in the car played college basketball. One of my other boys played college basketball up north, and the other one didn't do anything. Like, he stayed at home with his mom, you know, hooped around the city. So, me, I'm just, honestly, I'm thinking he's just going to say it's his, we get out of this whole situation. No, that's not what happens. Everything is put on me. Literally, I'm sitting in class the next day, and the TV is on, and breaking news pops up, and my face is all over the TV. So I got to walk out of class, walk across campus, back to my dorm. Actually, no, I walked to the basketball office, and I walked straight to coach's office. And at that point, he told me I was off the team. In order to be back on the team, I had to do a certain amount of things. I had to run this many sprints. I had to basically, after that, that's when the whole NCAA thing started because of the rental truck. And who my boy got the rental truck from was the issue. And they tried to connect me to him. And it was just a bunch of just nonsense that didn't happen. And they tried to paint me as just like drug kingpin at Carolina. Like I was just a drug dealer and I did all of this and that. I drove rental cars all the time. No, it was never that. Like
Right.
it was never that. Like and I think it's a wild not and it's crazy I say this. I was talking to somebody last week. The things that we got in trouble for is exactly what they're doing today. Like I was driving a rental car that somebody told me to drive, but it wasn't
Right.
mine. Now you got schools buying people Lamborghinis.
That's true.
like like
That's
you get
true.
what I'm saying? So I've always said after NCAA, I don't trust them. I never would. Just for them 10 years later to come down the road and change everything around to where we actually get where college athletes get paid now.
Right.
Like people like me that see that type of stuff, it pisses me off. Like that type of stuff pisses me off because you put me through all of that just to start paying athletes 6-7 years later.
Right.
Like that's the one thing I didn't think was fair about it. Like because granted, yeah, I got in trouble because the weed was in the car, but in real life as an adult, I would not have got in trouble at all. I only got in trouble because of who I was.
Right.
If I had been 26 years old and a random in Durham, they would have let me go as soon as I walked into the precinct downtown. I have no record. I'd never done anything illegal. But, you know, they painted this picture of me and people ran with the narrative. And I've had that narrative ever since I left UNC.
Yeah. I mean, it's an unfortunate situation. Um, I mean, just number one, being a athlete, that's targeting, profiling, I guess you could say, on you know the enforcement side of things. Um, that's what it seems to come off as, I guess you could say. Not saying that justifies what happened, but you know where you was, Durham, go Duke. Like, and I mean, I get it. I get that side of things. But one thing that I heard you mention earlier was that one person that was there was Coach Williams, um, which is of course honorable for him. I mean, because I just think that it just could have been one of those things like, hey, ain't nothing I could do about it. Just let you go. Just leave you out to dry, whatever. But that's not the case. That's not what it was.
And people don't even realize, like, literally the week before that, they had announced like preseason All-American. Like, I was preseason All-American. Like, I was supposed to be a top 5 draft pick. Like, I was preseason ACC Player of the Year. Like, I had I was in the running for the Wooden Award. Like, I was a nominee for the Wooden Award. Like, people don't understand, like, the year we were supposed to have that year.
Right.
Like, that was the year. Like I said all the time, if me and Leslie were able to play that whole season, we would have won a national championship. And I really and truly believe that. And people always say, if you could go back to what year would it be? I always say 12, 13 year.
Right.
Always.
Listen, I know me as a fan, the first time that the news broke, I mean, I was just like, oh man, like I was hurt because I was like, listen, in the beginning of this, before the season started, all of that, the first thing that I was looking forward to was like, PJ's gonna show out. PJ's gonna show out. Like, I mean, he is just a different type of player, and I mean, a lot of UNC fans was looking forward to it, and then the situation happened, and it just it was kind of like just to make light of it just a little bit. But if you ever watch the meme or the little video clip on Instagram or wherever where Carolina's playing Kentucky and Kentucky goes down,
PJ be back for Kentucky.
Yeah, well, not so much that we would be the fans, of course, the Kentucky fans, but that moment where Malik Monk came down, hit the shot. It was during the Elite Eight game when they was playing UNC, and then they showed a video of all the Kentucky fans just jumping all over the place, and then Luke May comes right back down on the other end and hits the basket, and then they go back to that clip again, and then you see all of the Kentucky fans like just in awe. That's how it felt at that moment when all of that happened. Because I mean, we was just looking forward to, and everybody knew, as far as Carolina fans, we all knew this was a special season that was coming up. Like we knew that. And like I said, when it happened, it was just it was a tragic loss. It really was. And a lot of people was just like, well, now that he's not on the team, he's going to the league, he's not coming back.
And it's a whole story with that too. Like, so
I'm sure.
So the game that Leslie got reinstated, I think we played Texas. That was Leslie's first game back. And I'm thinking, okay, since Leslie came back, Texas, they might let me come back maybe, right before the ACC tournament. 2 days, I think 2 days after, it might have been 2 days after Leslie was reinstated, the NCAA came to the coach's office and told me that I was ineligible for 2 years. Like, it said I could stay and practice for 2 years. And I just kind of looked at my mom. I said, I'm not about to sit and practice for 2 years.
Right.
I said, and I asked, and I said, where can I go play immediately? And they said, you can't go anywhere at Division I. So literally at the time, Winston-Salem State was Division II. I had every thought in my mind that I was going to Winston-Salem State. Like, that's what I told my mom. I said, just let me go to Winston-Salem State just so I can play. And their whole thing with that was they be worried about the recognition that I get and or whatever. And I didn't think about it at the time, but me and my mom sat down. She was like, why don't you go play in the D League? And this is when it was D League. It wasn't even the G League. Let you know my age too. So, so when I got to the G League, I moved to Chicago. I started training with a trainer in Chicago, and I went through the whole kind of like not pre-draft workout, but I had to get used to playing with the NBA ball and doing certain stuff, and I ended up going to play in Dallas on the Mavericks D League team. And at the time, I didn't know that I couldn't get called up. I thought I could just skip the whole draft process and play and get called up. But no, I was playing basically as a college player, but I couldn't get drafted. I couldn't get called up. So I had to play the full season. And, and it worked out for me because, I ended up being the first player ever drafted in the first round out of the D League. So that's something that I could always hold forever because nobody's ever did it.
Right.
I was the first. Well, people have done it now, but I was the first person to ever do it, and nobody can ever take that from me.
Yeah. A lot of great memories for the short time that you was there. I tell you that for sure. And I think that's the reason why the UNC faithful why they attach themselves to you so much, because a lot of people, even still to this day, a lot of people, it's like, yo, PJ was him. Like he was that dog. Like he was him. But of course, right after they say that, of course they go to the other situation, things like that or whatever. So the Carolina faithful, they definitely remembers PJ Hall. I mean, not PJ Hall, PJ Hairston. I don't know where PJ Hall come from. PJ. I get it. Okay. PJH. Yeah, they kind of, yeah, I get it. So, but yeah, I listen. I definitely, like I said, PJ, I appreciate you definitely stopping by, to speak your side of things. I think that, like I said in the beginning, I think that everybody deserves a second chance. Like you said, the number one, holding yourself accountable, apologizing and admitting to your mistake is the first step to moving forward. And I think that that's very big, because a lot of people just don't do that sometimes. So I think that's huge for you to be able to come on and be able to speak your piece and speak your voice and let your voice be heard. Like I said here, I let anyone come on, and that's what the platform is for. The platform is for players to come on and speak upon things that may have transpired and happened within their life after UNC, what happened in their life during their tenure at UNC. There's just I commend you for that, because it takes a real man to do so. It really does take a man to do so. And like I said, we as men, we can become and be very prideful. And sometimes that gets in the way, and sometimes that pride can really hurt a person. But for you to be able to do that, I commend you for that. I really do. I wish nothing but the best moving forward for you. I hope things really do work out for you. And it's just I just appreciate it. Like I really do. And I think you're on the right track, of course. And once again, I mean, I have to be a man and definitely say that, yeah, what you did or what happened was definitely, it was wrong. Of course, I mean, I wouldn't condone it or anything like that. But at the same time, everybody deserves a fair shot. Everybody deserves a fair trial. Like, it's just like in court. Like, you can't go into court and then the prosecutor just says what they have to say, their opening and closing remarks and statements and things like that, but then the defense don't get a chance to speak at all. Like, that's one-sided. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, and be looking forward to seeing what you got in store next, and and how you make things, how you mend things with fans and people, of course at your discretion. Nothing, it's not going to be anything forced or whatever, but once again, like I appreciate it. Any last words or anything that you would like to say to the fans? Of course, I mean, I'm sure you've said it quite a bit throughout this episode, but yeah, please feel free if there's anything else that you want to put out there and give to the fans.
I mean, nothing. I just wish you all accept my apology. I'm trying. I'm not perfect. Every day you have to learn from something, and I have to learn from my mistakes still at being 30 plus. And that's really it. I mean, I appreciate you having me on here and letting me get that out. But yeah, but I'll be working on something as far as the fans, but nothing as of right now, but I'm working on something.
All right. Well, listen, I appreciate it. That's PJ Hairston, everybody. PJ, do you want your socials or anything in the description? Because I mean, as they always say, you can't. As they always say, you can't please everybody. So I mean, of course, some people may accept, some people may not, but it's entirely up to you if you want that in the description.
It doesn't matter if you do or you don't. You know how to spell my name. You can find my social media.
Right. I got you. I got you. So everybody, that's PJ Hairston, and as always, go Heels. And like I said, PJ, I truly appreciate you, my guy, for stopping by. And once again, fans, please, whatever you do, keep comments and things like that to a minimum. No slander or disrespect or anything, please, because that's not tolerated over here at 94 feet. That's not what I do. I'm a man of morals and values and things like that. So, and those rules still apply to me. So if you're one of my fans, and of course you love and support me, I appreciate it. And once again, we thank PJ for stopping by for sure. Absolutely. So, PJ, just stick around for me real quick for 1 second, but then I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up now, though. But I appreciate everybody for joining in, and until the next time, it's well, let me see. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel, but go Heels.